A man was working when the machine malfunctioned. The hatch suddenly got stuck. In order not to lose this job, he had no choice but to risk entering the inside of the machine. However, after he removed the obstruction, the hatch automatically closed, trapping him inside as well. Immediately after, the machine emitted high-intensity radiation. His co-workers were extremely anxious upon seeing this and immediately grabbed tools, wanting to forcibly open the door. Otherwise, Max inside would be in grave danger. But at this moment, the supervisor appeared and told everyone to leave at once. If this expensive equipment was damaged, they simply couldn't afford to compensate for it. Subsequently, he disregarded Max's life and death, and only prepared to open the hatch to rescue him after the equipment finished its normal operation. The robot dragged Max out. By this time, he was already on the verge of death. Although his life was temporarily saved, due to the high-intensity radiation exposure, multiple organs had begun to fail. The robot told him he had at most 5 days to live. Soon the factory owner rushed over. However, he didn't care at all about Max's condition, but instead demanded to know why work had suddenly stopped. Looking at Max lying in bed, there wasn't a trace of sympathy in his eyes. He even thought Max would dirty the sheets, so he ordered the supervisor to immediately throw the dying Max out. To him, a worker's life had no value whatsoever. What he didn't know was that due to his callousness, he would pay a painful price for this. After Max signed, the robot tossed down a bottle of powerful medicine. It could keep Max's organs functioning normally before his death. Max, who had been thrown out of the factory, was extremely weak physically. Even walking was unusually difficult. Fortunately, he was discovered by his friend Julio, who with great difficulty brought Max back home. Max told him everything. At this moment, Max could no longer hold back and sat on the ground crying uncontrollably. He didn't want to die like this, and now the only way to save himself was to go to Elysium and use the medical pod there. So accompanied by Julio, Max found Spider. He was the biggest gang leader in the area. Not only could he help poor people forge legal identities as Elysium citizens, but he could also send them on spaceships to smuggle into the space station. But his fees were also extremely expensive. However, Max was very poor, so he hoped to owe this money first and work for Spider to pay off the debt after returning. Spider of course couldn't agree. Not only did he berate Max thoroughly, but he also told Max to get lost as far away as possible. But upon learning that Max only had 5 days to live, Spider's attitude immediately changed. He indicated he could give away a free ticket to send him to Elysium for treatment, and as a condition of exchange, Max must help him complete one thing that ordinary people wouldn't dare to do. Although he understood the matter definitely wouldn't be simple and might even cost him his life prematurely, this was his only chance to survive. Seeing Max finally agree, Spider also readily stated his conditions. They wanted to hijack a wealthy person who came to work on business, extract various data from his brain, thereby cracking his bank password to obtain enormous wealth. Although this was risky, Max had no choice. But at this time, Max's body was extremely weak and he couldn't even stand steady. Spider had prepared for this early on. He first had to implant a computer chip in Max's brain so he could download data into his own brain. To improve his combat capability, Spider decided to fit him with an exoskeleton suit that could interface with the human nervous system. He would possess strength as powerful as a robot. After undergoing this transformation, Max finally woke up. At this time, he felt his body was filled with an unprecedentedly powerful strength. Soon Max, bringing along his new friend Julio and 2 partners carefully selected by Spider, immediately set off. At this time, the factory office, the wealthy man copied a segment of data into his brain. Subsequently, under the protection of 2 robots, he prepared to head to Elysium. The Space Council had just taken out their plans, laying an ambush nearby, committed with one shot, but the bullet explosion began to instantly malfunction, trailing a big smoke only as it glided. It ultimately crashed on the city's edge. Max and his crew were nearby, planning to take the initiative and forcibly reopen the hatch. The wealthy man inside the cabin had already detected the commotion. As they approached, he unhesitatingly gave the order for the robot to kill everyone. The robot had received the command and just poured out the hatch with its railing through a bomb, instantly blasting several people who couldn't dodge in time. After succeeding, it immediately turned its gun around, but Max acted faster. Under the attack of several highly powerful explosive rounds, the robot was directly blown to pieces. Several people used a cutter to cut open the hatch, but their companion's gunfire inadvertently hit the wealthy man. After dealing with the other robot, Max hurriedly connected to the brain to prepare for data transmission. But at this time, Delacourt, who was the Secretary of Defense, had already dispatched Agent Kruger to head there.